Hello, folks. We are sponsored by Next Gen Power. If you don't know what Next Gen Power is about, they provide green energy solutions powered by the sun. So you can save money and reduce your carbon footprint in doing so. Now, with rising costs on fuel, we're all feeling the pinch at the moment. You can take control of your monthly costs in your home or business and save up to 70% on your energy bills while doing so. So check it out, their website at nextgenpower.uk, get a free quote, and hopefully we can save you some money. Hello and welcome to the He Doesn't Want a podcast. We're starting off this week's episode with a successful Rose Bowl winning manager, TJ Young, for the Amateur League. TJ, how's things, mate? I'm sure you're recovering from the weekend celebrations.
Absolutely delighted, Gary. Thanks for having me on. It was let's say the celebrations were done late in the Sunday morning. It was great. I'm just so chuffed for the boys, and everybody was just the whole emotions of the whole day. It is there was a lot of build up towards it, and just to get us over the line and on Saturday, it was a big relief to me. Let's be honest. Probably
Yeah.
one of the most stressful weeks. Probably one of the most stressful weeks I've had in football, and it wasn't pleasant at times.
It's completely different as well. I say, not many coaches will ever experience it, but it was almost like an Olympic cycle for you because of COVID. It was about 3 years waiting for one game. So it's all this build up, whereas football is always a week to week. You maybe always look forward to a game, but then you have another game a week later, whereas all this focus was in one game for so many years.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like, people say, "Oh, so you're not getting back into management?" It's just like, I'm the Rose Bowl manager. I just want to know. I wanted to really give it my all and really focus and like if somebody didn't see me at their ground over the last 2-3 years, I'd be very, very surprised that
Yeah.
I was out. Every Saturday I would have looked into who the fixtures was, what sort of players, spoke to managers. They'd said, "No, come and look at my players," and I give as many players the opportunity to go and watch them, and so I think overall I think the fact that I was out that often, it stood me in good stead, and we'll probably touch on that at the end, but of what the process was like to try and select players near the end. It just wasn't a happy process. Let's say that.
Yeah. It's the only thing is then obviously you're picking a squad, you're seeing the players, but you're seeing them in their own environment, you're seeing them in their own teams, and you obviously know what you can have conversations. But I remember reading that you found it was difficult because you couldn't get the players together enough. Would that be something you would try and look forward to doing, changing going forward next season, where you try and get the players involved more and maybe just get more meetups?
Yeah, well, Gary, I said, as I said it yesterday, there's been a lot of learning has been done over the last few weeks, and even last, I'm not saying I got everything right, but I'll certainly do things different.
Yeah.
It wasn't you couldn't really put your finger on what was wrong, because it wasn't just somebody's fault or something like that there. A lot to do with timings, lots to do with fixtures, lots to do with pitch availability, just things to get there. Like, so, and to sort of give you a wee background, like, whenever you're out looking at players, the number of times I'd be getting the phone call from managers outside the league. "Oh, what players are you looking at? What are you looking at?" I didn't really want to be that scout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be running around doing their job for them.
Yeah.
If they, there's the quality in the amateur league is there for them to go and look at. And I wasn't going to do their job for them, and make it even worse. Come January, me having a team before Christmas, and them all coming and going signing them in January. So that was definitely one of the big things that I made sure. See, this is what I made a conscious decision, that I wasn't going to do a meet up before Christmas, because I didn't want to be calling 25 players in, and they're sitting there. Is all the championship and PIL teams sitting there watching who I've went and selected, and
Yeah.
so if they want to do their job to go and scout for them, they should take the time and go and look at them players in their own environment in that sort of way, because the quality in the amateur league this year has been really, really strong, and and that's what's made my job easier, as in managing on the day. That's what made it.
Yeah, even you're saying about the quality there, so I'm sure picking your squad was difficult, but even the length of time since you've had to wait for this game, I'm sure you've picked Manny's a squad in your head, or the squad's changed ten times
Well,
over in the last 3 years.
well, this is it. Like, the amount of squads I picked over the 3 years was scary, but even the last 2 weeks, the squad I had picked. But if you think back, whenever Danny McKee was in he would have been in the squad. Then he was
Yeah,
away, then he was back again, and he even changed his name to Perkis. So there's been a lot of changes for Danny, but
yeah,
you know, um, but you know, and that was it. It was all about giving other people and having a look at who's come into the league, even over the last 3 years. There's been players who went out of the league and back in again, and things
yeah,
like that there. And you know, in particular, Big Minnie, who never made the squad, but um, top player, went out and went and gave it a chance in Ballyclare and came back again in the league in those 3 years. That was just an example, but obviously got injured. Um, because he was in one of the final get-togethers, and he's got a rib injury. So I'm just hoping, yes, he never made it on Saturday for us or whatever. But I just hope he gets to make it to the Clarence Cup final tomorrow night.
yeah. Actually, talking to the Drumaness manager Mark Kerr earlier, and I've spoke to Ryan Gorman from Crumlin United in preparation for the final tomorrow night, and I was saying to him, this is for all the podcast interviews I've done, this will be the first final I'll get to make, so I can testify about the games you've been because I've been following your updates on Facebook at the
Yes.
finals, but finally I'll get to go to one myself and actually watch
Yeah.
it. So I know the work you've put in anyway for the finals.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's it. I mean, that's what it's all about. You do need to know the players. You know, social media. It can be a curse at times, but I'm very vocal in social media. If anybody does know, and that's. But I also see a lot of comments made about team selection, things like that. There, so a lot of people don't even know the process of what it means. See the comments. Some of the comments are just daft at times.
Yeah,
You don't realize I can only choose 3 players from one club.
yeah,
So right, so that restricts you. So you have to say to yourself, um, what players do you want out of that club? You know what I mean? Like, let's all not beat about the bush. Common Star, East Belfast, things together. Everybody would have their own opinion of which 3 they would want out of them teams. You know what I mean? Kevin Lynch, for me, has been outstanding all season. He's probably been Star's best player, you know, but I have to look at different ways of what I wanted for the team that would benefit me from another. What I mean, rather than using all the 3 players. And
yeah,
I just felt the 3 that I chose was what I wanted to to put into the squad, and
yeah,
and that's it. So it's not. And people will go on, well, why is he not in it? Why is that? And everybody's entitled to their opinion. But the best one I did read was, why is Jack Smith not playing? You know what I mean? And go, geez, even know Jack Smith not even in this league. You know what I mean? It's he's never Ballymacash. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just people just don't have a clue. You know what I mean? How you get to the stage of, you know what I mean? So,
But
but
that's the thing as well. Like you said, so obviously it's 3 players from each club. But if you have to manage a squad, it's needs and positions, and you can't sometimes just pick the actual 3 technically best players in the club because it could be 3 strikers, or it could be in a position where you're quite strong from other clubs and you have other areas of need. So it's managing, like you said, the squad and the positions as well.
yeah, and there's also another rule at so which, well, again we'll touch on, but so if there's 2 players from one club, if there's 2 players in one club that are selected, that team can choose not to play their match. So
Right.
you know what I mean? When I call a get together. So, but we all know that didn't happen. Right up to the thing, players weren't getting released, even when I was wanting to have them in. So, but you know, that's well, I hope I just want to say a few things about that there and just have a bit of an understanding, like the way it all went about. And I just thought, you know, there has to be an understanding and a bit more respect between manager and myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought in particular, Chew was on the phone, and I know you'll probably watch this here. You know, certainly give it to me, like what I mean. But I respected him, and I understood exactly what he meant and said. He was straight on the phone, said, "Listen, lads, a week in football is a long time and things like that. There, I don't know what players I'll have and things like that. There, I'll see where we are." He was so open, and lifted the phone. We both lifted the phone, spoke to each other. East Belfast sat the same. We spoke. Maybe I didn't agree with what their decisions were, but I had to respect it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other managers were just not engaging with me, and you know what I mean, and not as understanding of my job that I was trying to do as well.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a conversation, but it wasn't. You know what I mean, and that was disappointing. You know what I mean, and it got my eyes open to a few managers that if I was in that position, I would be privileged for my players to be playing on it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, things like that there, but. It comes down to the players as well. Do you know what I mean? Like the star players were adamant they were playing on us. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was, you know what I mean? They were buzzing. They were saying, they were straight on the phone. They says, if I'm picked, I'll be playing. So, and I was great. I was grateful for that.
It hampers the players as well because being picked in a representative side, it's something you can always look back on, and then even looking at the photos from Saturday, the boys looked like they enjoyed winning that thing, so they did, and all suited and booted, and it's something you can always look back on. Like, this is what I've done in my career, but look what I also achieved, and
Yeah.
that should be remembered as well.
When I look back, I mean, so just to touch on my backroom staff, obviously my brothers was my assistant, I had Raymond Alexander as coach, but I had John Munn and Simon Gordon from Abbey Villa. He's a masseuse and things like that there, and was able to help the boys rubs and things like that there. But John Munn, John Munn's been and done the Rose Bowl 7 times as a
Yeah.
goalkeeper, and see his know-how, what way he's doing, previous things, what's happened. Because I was going into it blind as well, because I didn't know what was expected of what we were getting, what the players should get, and the whole drill. But John was able to give me that advice and things like that. So it was invaluable that way. But it's and that's what he says. The prestige of it. You know what I mean? Of
Yeah.
everybody should be really wanting to play on it. And they'll look back. You know what I mean? And some players may have regrets of not playing on it. Um, I don't know if there was players refused to play. Do you know what I mean? So, which was I was disappointed that what I mean. I I personally, if I was a player, I wouldn't care how that opportunity came about and how I got
Yeah.
a chance of being in that squad. I would still take that chance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And because people's not going to people look at that team on Saturday and they'll say, how did he get there? Well, they won't. They just say there's this. That's the 16 players that were selected for that squad. How my processes get that? That's what people will look at and says he was in the Rose Bowl team and he was in a
Yeah.
successful team and won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's it. And the pictures are there. You know what I mean? For, as you say, for future. You know what I mean? And for people to say that they didn't want to go to it, you know, I would say it'll be, you know, there might be regrets in later time, like.
Yeah, they'll look at the photos themselves and then see it themselves sort of well.
Yeah. No, but it was just honestly see the last 2 weeks. It's just been an absolute roller coaster of trying to select the squad, the amount of players I had out, and things like that there. And it was well documented. I wanted Fitzpatrick in the team. I believe he's one of the best players in amateur league, but he wouldn't make himself available, and I
Yeah.
respect that. That's dead on. But I mean, but if I'm going to learn something from it, what I'm going to do is I need to approach players a wee bit earlier to
Yeah.
find that out. I never once got that indication that he was not going to play until very late on. I mean, so that was a disappointment, and you know there was other players later on, right up to Wednesday, just pulling out, saying that we're concentrating in the club. Players right up, and what I mean, on the Friday at 3 o'clock, and I mean, so that said, they were, what I mean, struggling things like that there. But I knew there was fixtures Tuesday and Thursday, but
Yeah.
you know, but people are concentrating on their club football, and I respect that. I just think maybe timings would be a bit better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Maybe a bit more open and transparent of what was actually happening, and rather just saying, listen, I'm going to sit and concentrate on my club, and that's it. I don't want it. So and that was disappointing, but
Yeah.
But what I am saying is, I think overall, and we've spoke to it as a management team, I do believe I got the big decisions right. I do believe that there, and um, and the result went their way, and I felt,
Yeah.
the players themselves were immense. Honestly, our back five was top notch. Like Matty Keane, Aiden, and Lancy, and Scotty Adams, and with John Connolly behind. You know what I mean? They were just like all day. They were just taking everything. And honestly, if any team had a back five like that there all season, they
Won a
would be
lot of
happy.
trophies. Yeah.
Yeah, they would be really happy. And there was a lot of players that didn't make it, and quality players like Dale McCray is an absolute smashing player. I mean, but somebody has to drop out. Do you know what I mean? And I just felt,
Yeah.
this is what it's all about. It's just about um, doing doing games that maybe that I felt that this would actually do, because Scotland were, I expected them to be more physical and things like there, which maybe they weren't, but in past years they have been,
Yeah.
and that's what I set up, to be made sure we weren't going to get bullied, and what I mean, that we definitely wouldn't lose the battle. That's what I know a team that I set up.
What was your assessment then of what was the run up of the day and the event, or and then how did you think the game panned out as well once it started?
Well, basically, well, so the plan was to have a get together on Thursday night, obviously with the players, but I couldn't get enough players to make themselves available because the fixtures, the
Fixtures.
teams were still playing. So we had to get together on the Wednesday. That was the only session we had with the squad,
Yeah.
and it was a late session because we knew the players had matches on Thursday. So we were able to do a wee bit there, but not much. It was basically just to let the players get to see each other and things like that. But from Saturday morning, we met at 9:30 up in Crumlin, and we went and had a training session on the Sunday or on the Saturday morning, and it was from that. Honestly, the professional players, they you know you know honestly that they were credit to their clubs and how they conducted themselves. Bar one player who decided when he wasn't picked in the team that he would go home, which was a disappointment. And let's say sounds, you know what I mean, I can only pick one goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? So I can only pick one goalkeeper. So one's going to be sitting out. And unfortunately, when I named the team, one of the goalkeepers went. And I feel it's disrespectful to the other goalkeeper, disrespectful
Yeah.
to me, and disrespectful to the players. You know what I mean? That he just walked out of the camp and just went home. So it's disappointing that would happen. You know what I mean? So, but that was an opportunity, obviously, for another goalkeeper, and credit to James Darlington last minute on the phone to him, who had obviously been left out of the squad, and he would have
Yeah.
been disappointed, but came in, and all credit to James. Fair play to him. You know, in such difficult circumstances, he came in, and he was, fair play to him. So that's what I'll say about that one.
Yeah. And then when the game kicked off, what way did the game flow?
So preparation top notch. Raymond had done a few things and tactics and things out there. A couple of set pieces. That's all. Didn't want to overload the players with too much.
Mhm.
Listen, it was just go out with heart. And I made Aiden McNeil captain. And tell you what a guy, top lad. So he is. Just thought he was a real leader the whole day.
Mhm.
From the minute he was told he was captain, he took that responsibility, and load of respect for all them players the other day. We're all leaders in our own teams, but the other day, honestly, they have so much rivalry between them. There's so much rivalry between a lot of those teams and players that they were in that change room the other day. But see, once they get in the change room, they were friends, and they really put it in. But
Yeah.
as I said, I said last week, I did believe we'd score goals, and it proved it. It proved it. I just thought our goal threat was softly and Dugan. I just thought, and then we had, I think Daryl said he had 23 goals or something as well. You know what I mean? So the amount of goals that that were in the team for their clubs. I just felt that we would go in and score goals. And as I said, I thought our back five was our that was our winners. And I thought our back five was the reason why we won the match.
Yeah.
I mean, we looked so solid all day. Dugan, Dugan, who's Drumaness, he's already signed for ours, which, fair play to him. That shows you the standard that he's at. And, that again, championship clubs come in the amateur league to try and get players. But Dugan was immense as well. And Cockcroft played a few years. I mean, first half, Cockcroft was unplayable. I mean,
Yeah.
he just absolutely he run them ragged on the wings, so he did. So, honestly, I couldn't fault any of the players. I think even, the whole squad was, there and on merit. So I was really, really pleased. Like,
And then after the game, of course, celebrations began, and
I,
the boys obviously enjoyed themselves. But I'm
as
sure
I
you were
said, like,
relieved more than anything.
well, it was a good gesture. The amateur league, can get slated and things, whatever. But it was a good gesture. They let the players keep the jerseys as mementos. So, that's good for them players. Speaking to wee Reese Kelly, super player from Drumara, he was just buzzing. I'll get this framed and all. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. It's
Yeah, exactly.
he says, I'll have that up my, I'll have that in my room, framed. You know what I mean? And I just thought it was a nice gesture from the amateur league to allow them to have the jerseys, and then we went back to the Dunadry. But what I do want to say, the Crumlin United pitch, honestly, huge, and credit to Tom McPeak, at Crumlin United. He had everything, honestly, it was great facilities, everything. He looked after us, you know what I mean, with everything.
Yeah.
Trumped at me a few times, but that apparently that's just Tom apparently. But you know what I mean. I just want to say thank you to him, because you know what I mean. Anything I asked, I was on the phone a few times and asked him for doing things, and they were brilliant. Like, so
I'm
it was
sure
a
he's glad to
brilliant.
get a few quid in the bar as well, so it works out
Aye.
both
Well, the
ways.
brilliant venue. I think he was
Yeah, it is.
stressed out. I think he was probably stressed out as much as I was leading up to it.
Yeah,
So it was. But the facilities and things like that. And then we went back to the Denadry, and the food was excellent as well. But the Scots, were really, really good guys. Like, so they were.
yeah,
I don't actually know what way I don't know how they select their side, but they seem to have players from all around Scotland. So I don't know how exactly
right,
they. Someone said they select players from each region and then they bring them all together, and
right.
then so somebody else selects the team rather than the manager. So, but but overall, we definitely fully deserved it.
Yeah,
Um, let's say we had a scary 5 minutes at the end. So as you do, I was doing subs right at the very end, and just to get guys in the park, and they scored in 90 minutes to make it 2-1. And the last 3 minutes felt like, honestly, 20 minutes. It was, honestly, it wasn't good now. Everything was going like that. And they had, you should have seen the chance they had right at the death. Free header 4 yards out. And he tried to actually put that much on it. It hit his shoulder and bounced over he actually missed it. Hit his shoulder and bounced over the crossbar. You know what I mean?
3 years, 3 years and 3 minutes are a few. So
three
it's-
3 years and 3 minutes just all flashed in front of me, and I was just, I was just thinking, oh, what have I done here? Because you know, I should have done a sub when I did, because there was a free kick and they put the board up, and I says, no, no, all right, okay, go with it, and then they scored
yeah,
from the free kick. Here's me, no, we got there because we were just unsettled then, so we were,
yeah.
but we got over the line, like, and and the lads were buzzing to the worst.
So now it's sure the preparation starts for next year. The full cycle. You get to go to Scotland next year, hopefully. And what's the date? Is the preparation? I'm sure you'll start to think about it right away. I'm sure.
Well, surely, surely the lessons learned. You know what I mean? This year, pardon the thing, it's been a shit show, as in fixture congestion, dates and things like that. Like, I don't know why the dates there when it is. I don't know why it's the second week of May, or if that's always the way. I mean,
The
personally, I think
league,
it's,
the league used to be finished the start of May, didn't it? I think it's just
yeah,
been getting longer and longer the last couple of
yeah.
years.
But personally, I think the Rose Bowl should be, the end of May. Should even be the bank holiday weekend, the end of May.
Yeah,
That would give even the league was over, it would still give me 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Preparation with the team,
yeah,
because then you would know who wants to play, who doesn't, and say, right, do you want to come here, and we'll do a 2 week, preparations for it. But
yeah.
because even if it's over, but I don't know why the timings are like that there, but it's this whole thing about, oh, sure, it's always the guess, sure, it's always the guess.
I
That
know.
shouldn't be that shouldn't be an excuse. You know what I mean? And I touched on it with the whole, okay, sadly the Queen Dan and then the King's coronation this year has caused issues with losing out in a few weeks. But the Star, the Rough Riders in East Belfast are getting the latter stages of all the big competitions,
Yeah,
and that's having a massive knock-on effect on fixture congestion at the end. And surely, I don't know if they want to start a week early, because they always start the second week of August. Why don't they start the first week of August and get extra Tuesdays in at the start of the season? I mean, where it's not as crammed in at the end. So why don't they cram it in when everybody's fresh, coming up
yeah,
pre-season? Sure, usually in pre-season that's what people are doing anyway. You know what I mean? So if they crammed them in maybe a Tuesday, Thursday, why don't they do Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for the first 2, 3 weeks at the start?
yeah,
Would certainly give a big head start. I mean,
yeah,
and especially players at the start of the season, they're not injured. I mean, players are fresh and they're for big squads. At the start of the season, everybody's busted to get games because I'm not leaving until I see if I'm in the team. And I mean,
yeah,
so if they were playing Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, you know, they would have more of a squad and everybody would be happier. Three weeks of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And I mean, because Stevenson's Irish Cup and the Border are all played the first few weeks. So they're not even getting league games in, they're all cup games the first few weeks.
yeah,
So if they could get a couple of more league games in over those 3 weeks, I think they would give them a head start to try and help at the end.
yeah. I
You
think
know,
it's the whole way through the amateur league, and then you're looking now as well. Like it wouldn't be a problem if they let the league actually extend longer, and it wouldn't be a problem if they actually play the Rose Bowl later, because like the Mid Ulster League and the Ballymena League, they're still going into June, and especially intermediate football where teams have their own facilities. It's different with junior level, and yet you're at mercy of the council facilities. But if it was allowed to extend into early June, what would be the big problem? Like, I don't
yeah,
think it'd be a big deal.
yeah.
Like, but then they would have to move the Rose Bowl, which they could do, really, if they wanted to.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's that date, but even the Scots were saying the Scots are not finished either, so
Right?
their league's still going. So they're in the same boat. So
Yeah,
they were even saying on Saturday when I was talking to them that that few weeks would help them too. So it's so I'm not sure what the situation is. So it's but again, as I say, I don't know the whole ins and outs of why it's that date or things like that. But we'll sit down with the powers that be next time and speaking to them and try and find out if there's better ways of doing it.
yeah,
Better, but but as I said to you at the start, I can't really go out and bring squads in around Christmas because of um the championship clubs and PIL. They'll be looking at the players. You
yeah,
know what I mean? And so it'll be around February, March. I have to then look. So I'll be hoping to push for February then, next year that we'll be better prepared, get teams in. The last players, are you going to make yourself available? So
yeah,
around February then we should be able to do then it's because what I planned to do was in March, what I mean, was to do it in March, then once all the midweek games came in, there was no issue.
yeah.
But I couldn't get pitches. I couldn't get 3G pitches. Everybody trains on them. So so it was a whole it's just
It's hard.
and in March all the semi-finals of the cups.
Yeah,
And so any free pitches were going, all the leagues were using them for their quarterfinals and semi-finals. So it was just, but here, lesson learned.
you
You know
may
what I mean?
start booking now.
I I've said lesson learned. But overall, honestly, brilliant day. Honestly, forget about it. It was honestly, my wife's ready for divorce me. Honestly, it was that bad. Honestly, I didn't speak to her for 2 weeks, and fair play to her. Like she, honestly, it was. wasn't good. I mean, the amount of phone calls, text messages, trying to get, do this and that, and it was just madness, absolute madness. But overall, on the day, I think the players appreciated everything. I thought, the experienced players like Kevin Trainer, Mark Kerr, Darrell Evans, that was the three in the middle of the park. Immense. You know what I mean? Three
Yeah.
boys have been done it, played top level football, and it was so easy in the change room. Honestly, see to manage, a group of talented players like that there as a unit. It's definitely easier than than normal club football. So it was.
Well, mate, congratulations again, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can do it next year as well. Go
Yeah.
consecutive.
Well, I'm saying, it's been retained. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I would hate to listen to you next time if I didn't retain it. And so, but no, fair play to him. He was up and watched the boys on Saturday. I was talking to him. So, at the end of the day, there's top players, and I said to you, see the players that dropped out. It was their loss
Yeah.
because of the preparations I put in to try and I knew all the players. Like my brother was going, oh, what would they now? That's okay. I'm just going to the next one because
Yeah.
I just knew there was players. It doesn't matter who the players who came in could do a job, and they were absolutely super. So it's credit to every single player in their clubs.
Brilliant. Mate, well, thanks very much for coming on because I know you've had a busy
Yes,
couple of days. I'm
yep, no
sure
worries.
I'm sure you'll be busy going forward as well, preparation
Yeah,
for
well,
next
listen,
year. So
I'll be at the Clarence Cup final tomorrow night, so maybe see it. But well, listen, thanks, Gary, and honestly, thanks to the boys and thanks to obviously everyone that made it such a success today, anyway, or yesterday, sorry, Saturday.
sorry,
So
so you're losing track of your
I
days
know,
now.
but I know what that was. So, yeah, I left everything in Ollie's on Saturday night. I'll say no more. All
Mate,
right, well,
well,
listen,
thanks
thanks very
again.
much, Gary. Thank you. Cheers.
Speak to you later. Bye bye.
Yep, bye.
I'm here with Mark Kerr, who is the Drumaness manager. Mark, how's things, mate? You all good?
Good, thank you. Yep, no, thanks for taking the time to have a chat.
It's good to have you on. I haven't had you on before, so when I seen this got to the final, I thought it was a great chance to speak to you. And basically, been a good season in some ways this season, looking at it in terms of cups, but you've still a long way to go in terms of the end of the season, making sure you stay in the Premier Division. So, how would you assess your season so far?
Ask me in 4 games' time.
Yeah.
It's one of those, and like if in 4 games' time we're safe in the Premiership and we've got the 2 cup finals and won one of them, that's a wonderful season. If we get the 2 cup finals and we get relegated, that's an awful season. So it's fine margins. I think I've talked about this lots, Gary. Drumaness have come an awful long way in a period of time, even from before me. The COVID season, they played 25 games. The games were called, or obviously the league was cancelled then. Should have been relegated, lost all 25 of those games. More than half of my squad played in those games. So the fact that they have developed from then, that's probably, every time anybody asks me that question, that's the most pleasing aspect. It's local boys doing it for the right reasons. Cold, wet Tuesday and Thursday nights, and they're getting out there and doing it, and that's pleasing.
Yeah.
It'll not be very pleasing if we end up getting relegated at the end of it. It'll not be very pleasing if we end up losing 2 cup finals over the end of it. But that's the margins, mate.
I suppose it goes to show how far as you came, because I know it's a very young squad. So pre-COVID, they would have learned a lot from that, and then now, even just for such a young squad to get the 2 cup finals is an achievement. But of course, like you said, winning one would be the main achievement, of course, and then you have came a long way in terms of being more competitive in the league. Like, speaking to our managers so far this season, that they can't believe we are. But obviously the table doesn't lie. You've 3 games to make sure you stay safe. But there's been a lot of development within the squad, and there's some experience gained there, do you think, as well?
So there is and there isn't. So like most of our games this season that we played with the oldest outfield player being 26. Skipper's been injured quite a lot of the season. He's 30. There are older players around the place. Some of those are obviously on the way out, coming to the latter stages in their career. Some of those are unavailable for different reasons. And I think every time people ask me about, why is the league position, you've hit the nail on the head. It doesn't lie. We're not consistent enough, and some of that's down to age, but some of that's down to availability as well. So we've had the ability to name the same 11 once all season for 2 games on the trot.
Yeah.
And that's really, really difficult, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, we're probably a bit old school in our league, you know, we try and run it as professionally as we can, but, you know, boys have work commitments and different other things that, you know, maybe some other clubs are able to work around that we're not able to work around.
Yeah.
And it is very difficult. We have a squad of 24 players there. You know, we lost 2 before the start of the season to long-term injuries. We lost 2 to the County Gaelic panel. You know, so all of a sudden those numbers starts coming down. So when you start getting a few injuries on top of that, then it becomes very, very difficult.
Do you think the Border Cup run and this year the Clarence Cup run has helped or hindered you around those fixtures in terms of maybe sort of taking your alpha ball in league games and then it's
1 or 2, if you're really honest, 1 or 2. You know, like last week we rotated against Lauren Tack and we did the same away to Cumber prior to the Border before Christmas. But, you know, those 1 or 2 games aren't going to make the difference. The reality for me, mate, around the league form and, you know, and why the cup form is different is it's that consistency piece. You know, you look at sides like Rough Island, like Star, like East, you know, who are up the top end of the table. You know, most of those sides have players that are 26 plus in the prime of their career. You know, quite a lot of them are players over 30 that have played Irish League football. We don't have that. You know, we've young, talented, keen boys. That's great, but then they're going to make mistakes, and you just have to learn to live with that. And that probably is why why they've done well in the cups. You know, as I said, if somebody offers me a win on Tuesday night and a relegation, it's stay up, stay. You know, it's legal at all costs. You know, for me, you know, so, but we're nearly there. You know, the way the fixtures are planned out haven't been great the last few weeks. You know, there's been a lot of Saturdays off for different reasons. But you know, one more win, you know, makes it go down to goal difference. So you know, we'll get that over the line. But with a small matter of cup final to concentrate on, Gary, on Tuesday night. So we get that out of the way first.
In terms of Crumlin United, I know you have played them once this season. They're actually your last game of the season as well. So
they are
still twice to play them. But from your experience playing in the first game, what do you think in terms of the final tomorrow night?
Really good side, mate. Really, really good side. You know, strong at the back. Obviously, Big Adams there was in the amateur league team at the weekend. You know, he played really well. I was there watching it, done really well. Big Mooney up at the other end of the pitch was selected as well, obviously, and you know, he wasn't available for the game on Saturday. When we played them up there, you know, they got it down and played. They played in the right areas. They're a threat in both boxes. You know, they defend really well and they attack well. But you know, recipes for success in our league, and I think they're similar to us in a way. You know, if they turn up on their day, they'll beat anybody in our league, and I think that's probably the same. If you look around most of the sides in our league, most of the sides are capable of beating most of the other sides. You know, which it's really unusual. You know, if you go into the Mid Ulster, you go into the Ballymena, and the top divisions in those, there's still 5 or 6 sides that beat everybody. You know, people are maybe looking at last week going, Star's probably going to finish second this year. You know, depending on the other game tomorrow night. You know, we beat them. They beat us 2-1 up their place with them to play again. They beat us 1-0 in the cup final. You know, so they're not steamrolling over sides the way you would maybe see in some of those other leagues. It's really, really competitive, and that does make it really difficult. But I think amateur league Premier section is probably the best league in the country for teams playing against each other.
Yeah, 100%. And then looking at the teams coming up, it's probably going to get stronger next year as well. So it is. So
people say, it's funny, Gary. People say that every year. Do you know, I've heard that. You know, again, the same. Look, Cumber came up. Look how well Cumber have done this year. Mark Brady's got a really good side there. Play the game again the right way. You know, big and physical when they need to be, and good talented boys when they need to be as well. You know, and they have done really well. And that's the nature of the challenge of whoever's going to come in and replace me at Drumaness. You know, it's one of the reasons the club are taking a step back and looking at the facilities and how they can develop those. It's another reason why, you know, nearly 10 years ago now, the youth academy was started by Darren and Sean McCoy back then, and that's about developing players. You know, and I said I've intimated a few times. You know, the club want to do things the right way. You know, they want to be a well-run amateur club, and I think that's difficult. You know, that is a challenge, and that consistency will be a challenge because we're seeing it this year. You know, we will lose our better players to championship clubs, and that's a wonderful indictment for the club. You know that you know it's a positive one, where you turn around and say, look, we're now developing players capable of playing at that level. You know, it was really nice to have 3 lads invited along the Rosebowl team for the trials with TJ. That, you know, that's great. You know, we were sitting at that stage, I think we were second bottom of the league, you know, and they're looking 3 players in for trials. It's also frustrating because, you know, I think we're much better than our league form suggests, but, you know, we'll have to breed that consistency in the young fellas.
Yeah. In terms of, like you just said there, like the club's trying to develop off the pitch, and you've a lot of young players you've developed throughout the club last couple of years. So staying up obviously is a priority, because it's that sustainability and it's that consistency of just being in the Premier every year, as well as the results on the day also, I'm sure, for the club.
It is, and as I said, you know, that attraction piece, how Drumaness have traditionally attracted players has been the facilities. The pitch has been, you know, obviously one of the best pitches in the Amateur League for a long, long time. But you know, that pitch was put in over 20 years ago now, you know, and other clubs, you know, it was Crumlin United there on Saturday, and Crumlin United's pitch was just immaculate. You know, you'd have thought it was pre-season. You were walking up to it; it was in wonderful condition. But that's not enough now, you know, to do things professionally. You know, players are looking, you know, their pre-match stuff set up properly. You know, they're looking their, you know, strength and conditioning. They're looking, you know, all of their VOs, their stat sports. You know, so because they're all into all that TikTok nonsense and Instagram, and you probably got it too, Gary, all that jazz, you know. And
I'm too old for it as well, don't I?
Well, look, Facebook and Twitter's me, it's probably as far as I can go to. But you know, all of those kind of things now, from a coaching point of view, those are ridiculously wonderful tools. You know, when you think about back to what I had, you know, when I was playing, and it was like close your eyes and run as far as you can on Tuesday and Thursday night. You know, those are brilliant. But those things really, really do help set the mindset of the players and help those kind of attractions come. But you know, the plans that we've got in place, so I've said, I think the other media outlets have said, you know, I'm planning to stay and help Drumaness with the development work in the background, because it's been me that's been leading that project. And you know, things like a 3G training pitch, you know, new change rooms with a function room, a gym, you know, floodlights on the main pitch, all of those kind of things are really achievable. The first phase is just completed, which was moving the pitch and replacing the fence, you know, so that becomes something tangible. People can see that the work's going into. And I said, look, the local community are starting to invest back in the club again, which I think was probably missing when we looked at other clubs in the area. You know, that investment was there. The youth teams are massively helped with that. So you can probably tell from the chatting, mate, it's been a real wrench to step aside. But you know, ambition's a wonderful thing.
In terms of, you've mentioned it there, but if anybody doesn't know, you're going to Banbridge at the end of the season, but you have a lot of ties to Banbridge as well. So that, I'm sure that's one of the main things that has attracted you to it as well. But it wouldn't be just any move to leave Drumaness. It had to be a club that was right for you and something you had close ties to.
It does, and that probably helped. That said, and I've said this to players all along, you know, I want my players to be ambitious too, you know, and if the right move comes along for them, I'll be the first one chasing them out the door, you know, even if that weakens my position, you know, you only get one crack at it, you know, management's the same, you only get one crack at it, you know, so go and test yourself at, you know, a high level as you can do. So that the fact that they're a PIL club in the first instance was attraction. You know, I think it is if I looked at the standard of the PIL and the standard of the Amateur League Premier Division, right, the whole pile in. If you look at the last 4 in the Intermediate Cup this year, they're all Amateur League sides. You know, Plunkett done really well from 1B to get to the final as well. So standard of football wise, probably not a whole pile in it, but you know, then it becomes a shop window. There's from a Banbridge point of view, there's a mass improvement that can be had there, you know, in the town, you know, in the playing staff, and they're all really good lads, you know, so hopefully we'll get that. They have a really difficult time, obviously, with Frankie passing there, and they've done the guys that were in done an incredible job. They keep them up in those circumstances, you know, something hopefully none of us will ever have to go through. But I think, look, from a personal point of view, it is a wrench, Gary, to leave Drumaness. Absolutely, no doubt. I've said to other people, you know, my 2 young cubs are in the academy. My oldest cub signed first in January from Cliftonville. He plays for us now as well. So effectively, you know, you're leaving the family down in Banbridge. Said I played down there. I was assistant manager for a couple of years down there as well. All my dad's side of the family are from Banbridge, so there is that bit of a pull to it.
Yeah.
But the main thing for me was a sporting poll going, what can you do with this? Because if you look at the size of Banbridge should be capable of hosting an Irish League club.
Yeah.
The size of the town, when you compare it to, and this is no disrespect because Loughgall are amazing, but if you look at the size of Loughgall compared to Banbridge, and Dean and the guys up there have done a tremendous job, but just the size of what the town is and what it could be. Now that's many moons away, and hopefully something we can make real. But just having that out there somewhere to look at and reach for and strive for, I think, Gary, something that's very appealing.
Yeah, and I'm sure as well, like, if considering where you took Drumaness from, if you were to leave with a cup final or even in the Premier Division, that's still the club is still primed to continue on with the work you've done, which means you've left them in a good position. And then that project then starts with Banbridge trying to do something similar there as well.
I would hope so. Look, I think from a Drumaness point of view, I think I don't want to use the word proud yet, right? Because again, ask me in 4 games time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
If those things get met, I will be proud of the job that we've done. Football results are football results. You'll win games, you'll lose games. All of those things happen. I used this term with the players before. There's games I've went to war with them. And I mean that in terms of giving out to them and all those kind of things that you do. But they're a proper wee bunch of men. Do you know what I mean? They will knock their pan in for you. And that's hard to find now, because when you look around some other players, their characters, attitude can be questioned. Boys maybe don't want to play and will walk off from teams and do different bits and pieces. The character of the lads at Drumaness is outstanding. Said if I can replicate that character at Banbridge, I'll be a very, very lucky coach.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me is, as I said, you said final there. Let's be greedy and go for winning it and staying up. So let's aim as high as we can. And when I was going to say old and grey, when I'm old and greyer and probably will have totally no hair then, as the boys keep reminding me, looking back and saying we got the 2 cup finals, so what?
Yeah.
Looking saying we got back and we won a trophy, deal. That becomes something to hold on to.
Yeah, and then just finally, obviously, semi-final against Crumlin Star, you lost the Border Cup final to Crumlin Star as well. Do you think those experiences, in terms of tomorrow night, will help your players and give them that wee bit? Because when it comes to these finals, some teams, some players, same as semi-finals, just don't turn up. But you've got the one final, and then there's a big Crumlin Star in the semi-final, who going into the semis were probably everyone's favourite to lift the Clarence Cup, considering league position. So do you think that helps you tomorrow night?
I've seen your tweet about it. No, look, no, it's a fair point, mate. And I think it's interesting. If I go back and look, obviously we played Rosario at Seaview, and we were outstanding in the semi-final, and Rosario have beaten us since up at their place. Taught us a lesson actually at their place. Barry's that side really well coached. But we were outstanding that night, absolutely outstanding. And it was one of those, to that point, it was one of those things, Gary, that our lads couldn't put a foot wrong. Took chances, defended really well, got the final, and I think the occasion got to us. Again, that's that young thing. The one I thought the best player in the pitch that night was Gary Murdoch. Gary's our skipper at 30. And I mean, from both sides, he was very unlucky not to get man of the match. I thought he was outstanding. But the rest of the lads didn't do themselves justice. And that's the one point that we hammered home to them last week in the semi-final. Don't be a team that doesn't turn up. Don't be a bunch of boys that don't turn up. And if you look at Star, for example, Star always turn up. Even after last Tuesday night, they lost last Tuesday night, what are they going to do on Thursday night? Back to winning ways, won again on Thursday night, and that's what good teams do. So I think the thing for me was we weren't great in the first half last Tuesday night. Star had a few chances from set pieces and probably should have been ahead at half time. But there's a wee bit of something about that side that they're starting to dig deep and they're starting to understand what they have to do to win games. And I thought we were the better side second half. Now, can we replicate that against a good side? I would love to say that Kieran's boys are going to, be the way we were at Christmas and going to go, it's a final, it's this, it's that, at the other. But there's lots of experienced boys in their change rooms. There's boys that have played. Said Big Mooney was Ballyclare, Scotty was a poor round. Kieran himself's obviously played the Irish League ridiculous levels. So there's plenty of experience in there, and probably something that we don't have in our team.
Yep.
So I think that they'll be primed and ready to go, and it's going to be a really difficult game for us.
Well, either way, regardless of result, I'm expecting a good game because I spoke to both sides now, and I know both teams play
it's
football the right way.
Awful, mate, and we'll win 6-0. I'll take terrible and 6-0 all day long.
I'm trying to promote it to get the crowd along here. So, but I'm looking forward to myself, mate. I've been doing this podcast for this season, and I've been talking to people about finals that I can't even make because my own coaching commitments. So it'd be good to see you there tomorrow night, and I'm just looking forward to it. May the best team win, and if it's yourselves, then I'll make sure to congratulate you after the game.
Superstar, mate. Look forward to it.
And thanks very much for coming on, because I know you're busy and you've a lot in your mind. With most people are wrapping up their season or long wrapped up, and you've still 4 games left. So
it'll be quite nice to get the 25th of May. Now, it was interesting because we were actually we were supposed to play Crumlin United on Tuesday night, the league. So,
that's right.
So the venue's just been moved to be at Breda Park.
Yeah.
Rather than at Drumaness, with a little bit more. Well, I was going to say with a little bit more importance on it, but we said we could get the next Thursday night, and there'd be an awful lot riding on it for us still.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, look, hopefully there's a big crowd at it. There certainly was at Christmas. The support was unreal at Christmas. Don't know if you've seen some of the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's anybody left in Drumaness Village at Christmas, mate. It was ridiculous. So hopefully that's replicated tomorrow night, and I said we can give them a little bit of something to cheer about.
Brilliant, mate. Thanks very much again, and I'll see you tomorrow night, hopefully.
Superstar, look forward to it.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
I'm here with Ryan Gorman from Crumlin United, who have a much awaited Clarence Cup final coming up on Tuesday night. Mate, how's things, and how are you preparing for the game?
Things are all good. There's obviously big buzz about the place now. People stopping you in the street and asking you how we're going and how we're ready and stuff like that. But in terms of preparations, nothing too much different than any other game. But the hard match are Tuesday, away Rough Riding. So there's a day off after that, and then we've trained a couple of times just as normal before any other match. So just going through things, phases of play, just the usual training. So we're looking into it ready.
Yeah. Well, in terms of like the preparation for the game, you had this earlier in the season, I suppose, when you played Larne in the Ice Cup, which was a big thing for the town, big thing for the club in general. So you kind of would have had the same sort of thing, even though it wasn't a cup final. That it was almost like a cup final experience that day. So do you think that'll help you going into Tuesday?
I think it will, yeah, because as you said, that was a massive game and a massive thing for the club and the players, managers. Similar type of buzz with all the people around the town, stopping all the players, and a couple of buses down for the people. So that was a massive day as well. So
yeah,
it should help us, hold us in good stead going into Tuesday night.
And then in terms of yourself, I know you've been at the club a long time. You care to tell me how long you've been at Crumlin United?
I think I started in the junior. Maybe I think we had under 10s, maybe.
Yeah.
Senior football started, I think it was 2 years after they won the last cup, the Border. So a long time ago, 21 or 2 years.
20. Yeah, I mean, just in general, like the way amateur league is these days, it's to see a one club man like that is class to see, and you don't really get it as often these days. But for somebody like yourself who's been at the club so long, and then you're saying this will be the first senior final, then I take it in 20 plus years, is it?
Yeah.
It's a massive occasion for the club, the town, and yourself individually, I suppose, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, individually, I mean, very, very long time coming. And the first year I played, the first team got relegated. There was a load of young boys playing, probably weren't ready for it, but we had to play. There was a lot of players had left. So the objective was to get out of 1A. Done that after maybe 15 years. It was a long wait. So to get into the first final of 38 is a big thing personally. And first final for the club in 23 years is also massive. So we're hoping we're going through the business, and that's maybe the start of something instead of just winning one cup. Could be the start of a good run, hopefully.
suppose the monkey off your back as well was the semi-finals, because I know you've had a few semi-finals over the years, and I'm sure that was the first aim, really, just getting through that semi-final and then getting to the final. Then it's just obviously whoever turns up on the day. But I know he's had a couple of heartbreaks in semi-finals the last couple of years. So the semi-final against Ballynahinch, I know it was obviously nervy in the end. It was a close game, but how did you find that game even went on the night?
It was tough, tough game. We tried to get the ball down and play football. I don't really think the pitch allowed for that.
Yeah.
I mean, one touch, there's maybe 2 or 3 players around you, so kind of suited the Ballynahinch more than it suited us. But we'll get over the line, which was the main thing. Don't care how you do it, but we're on it.
Yeah.
So there's a big relief for me personally and the manager, Kieran. Kieran, he's brought us the 6 quarterfinals, and we'll get over that step. We got that monkey off our backs. Tight semi-final. We'll get through that, and now we're looking to go one further and bring home a trophy.
It's just been steady progression, I suppose, over the last couple of years as well, and there's been a lot of changes at the club. Players coming in. You're still there yourself, still going strong. I know the nickname Giggsy, so if we get any more odd and runs on Tuesday night, then you happen to score, will the hairy chest come out, do you think?
I will maybe have to put some hair on us first, but I don't know what I'll do, to be honest. Maybe fall in the heat and cry, but here's hoping anyway.
Yeah, mate, just in general, like taken away from the final itself, your season as a whole, it's been pretty successful, and you're, compared to last season, for example, you're a lot higher up in the table. You're starting to compete now with the bigger teams. You're starting to beat the bigger teams on occasion as well. It's always been good progression. What do you think you need to do going forward to maybe continue that, to make sure that it doesn't go back downwards again and it's just an upwards trajectory?
Probably need to add a couple for next year, and then the consistency. As you say, we can beat any team in any day. We've seen to beat a lot of teams above us.
Yeah,
we've dropped stupid points against teams that we probably shouldn't, which is probably why we're 5th or 6th at the moment. So that's disappointing. At how the seasons went, we've won a good load, and then we've dropped stupid points, which other teams don't seem to be doing. So we need to match that level of consistency, and then hopefully take a few steps further next year.
Well, mate, wish us best of luck on Tuesday evening. And finally have a free schedule myself and get to one of these finals. So I'll see us down there, and obviously between yourselves and Drumaness, I'm expecting a good game, like, and I just made a best team win. So best of luck.
Yes, thanks very much, Gary. Get the blue black scarf on you.
Neutral colours, mate. Journalist, apparently. Mate, thanks very much for getting up your time, and I'll see you Tuesday night, hopefully. Then.
Yes, no bother, Gary. See you later on.
Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.